What is up, everyone, and welcome to Nothing But Professional. We are live here every single Wednesday and Friday from 12:30 Mountain Standard Time. Let me do something real quick while we're here. I'm going to close my closet if you guys don't mind. Sweet, I'm going to jump right back in. All right, cool. We are back. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, we are here every single Wednesday and Friday at 12:30 Mountain Standard Time. Remember to follow me, all my contact, my usernames are right below. That's all my social media, including my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram. And to be able to watch all my content at one time, can see everything I do, make sure you go check out my website. It's www.jacobterrell.com. All these links are in the description below, so if you can't find them, they're right there for you as well. And if you are after this video you want to check again, you can go back to my YouTube channel, find this stream, and they will be on there as well, along with they are just on my channel in general. To make sure you guys also, if you guys want, hit that subscribe button and make sure to turn on that notification bell. This makes me think and makes me realize how many people are watching, and also gives me the impression that you guys are really enjoying what I'm doing on this channel, so that I can continue and really do my best for all of you out there. So with all that being said, let's jump right into some of the topics I have for you guys today. They have some newer topics that I think are going to be pretty interesting. We're going down to the high school level, which is something I usually do not do, but it's a big name and it's a big change in the NCAA, the NBA, and what's going on right now with sports. So reportedly, high school student Jalen Green, a 5-star athlete from, I want to pronounce this right, I think it's Woquin High School. I don't know if I said that completely right, but he's a 5-star athlete. He's a 6'5" guard who is, instead of looking at offers that have been to him, such as like Memphis, Oregon, Fresno State, USC, different, and Auburn is one of them as well, he is deciding to choose a different route. He is deciding he wants to go to the NBA G League, and the big portion of this is that he will be getting paid. At the end of the day, what he's going to be making over there in the G League is going to be a lot more than what he makes on a normal basis in college, especially because NCAA does not pay their athletes even for their image and likeness and whatever people have been arguing about what they could earn money for. He's reportedly going to get a little more than $500,000 for a 1-year contract in the G League. So in reality, what is this really telling us as fans, the NBA, the NCAA? What it is in general saying is that the NCAA needs to start starting to pay their athletes, or they need to find some way for better compensation, because the NBA is taking control. The NCAA and the college basketball scene, which is a $1 billion business, is going to lose a lot of its top prospects to maybe kids who decide they want to go a different route. And another thing that the G League is doing is when you go play with them, if they still want to go to college, they're going to pay for your college. So you are able to make money in a professional league, get help from professional coaches, and really, really do get league ready and play against other guys in that league who have potential to be in the NBA, not just some of the guys you'll play against in college. You're prepping yourself more for some of these situations. And jumping over to what is going to happen to the NCAA is that when they lose all these top prospects, they are going to be losing a lot of money. A lot of the people back last year wanted to watch Zion Williamson, and that was not this season but the year before, and they got a lot of ratings and they got a lot of sponsorships, and that's what really helps, is those top prospects bring in a lot of viewers. But if the NBA G League, who is promising these kids thousands and thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, and will pay for your college if they decide that's the route they want to go, it's going to be really hard for the NCAA to compete with that. There are different things the NCAA has, such as March Madness, which is a huge, I think in my personal opinion, the best tournament in the entire world. I love March Madness. Very disappointed this year that it was canceled, but we do understand why. In general, like when you have these type of athletes going into March Madness, normally those top prospects aren't the ones winning it. It's those 4-year players that really have grown into their school and really have developed their game a little bit more in the college level. Those are the guys who end up winning it. But the prospects and the athletes that come into these college, these 5-star athletes, do bring in a lot of views and make the tournament more interesting, and give players such as those 4-year starters, maybe the point guard from Oregon, those guys, they get to compete against these 5-star athletes that are freshmen, are going to be one and done, and they're going to be in the league next year. And that's what makes it, is who's going to be better in the situation, the 4-year player or that one and done 5-star athlete. Most years we do find out it's going to be the 4-year, but it still makes it a super interesting conversation. The one thing the NCAA does have in general is they do also have school pride, and they have a lot of things they do in general to really prep these guys for the next level, but I just don't think they can compete with what the G League is doing. This is the very first time out of when the G League decided they're going to compensate athletes and give them the 1-year route. This is the first time it's happening, and I think it's going to take a really big pull on what's going to happen in NCAA basketball and what is going to happen in the future of the NBA too. You are getting different types of players that are deciding, instead of going maybe across country to another country to get money and get paid because they might be in low income homes, whatever their financial situation is. I'm not here to, I don't know a lot of the guys. I don't research their financial situation, so that might be the reason. They might just choose they want to be more league ready and play in a professional league. One of the big names that are going around that are doing this right now is LaMelo Ball, who's played in different countries and getting himself in preparation for the NBA. He never went to the college route. He did finish his senior year in high school after going across seas to play professional basketball as a junior, but he still went back to across the country to choose a different route than college. This is most likely because of the name he has, and it doesn't really matter that the college name is important to him at this point because everyone knows who he is. The one thing we still will find in college basketball, though, are going to be those Cinderella stories, those 4-year players, and those guys like Kyle Kuzma, who played for 3 years, or those guys that have played in college. Those guys are going to be the ones that move up to the NBA, but they aren't going to be the high draft picks. But they are still good draft picks, as we have seen in the past, that lower draft picks sometimes do come up and shine. Steph Curry wasn't a high draft pick, so guys like that. So the NCAA is still going to have those Cinderella stories, but I just don't see it being as interesting as it usually is in those type of situations due to the impacts that the NCAA is going to have from the G League going forward. When it comes to basketball in general, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I don't think it really changes a whole lot. You do have, you're pretty much going to have 2 separate leagues now. You, instead of just college basketball and then the NBA, you're going to have the college basketball, you're going to have the G League, and then you'll have the NBA, which is like the next step up. It's kind of like a triangle type of thing. You got high school down here, then you got NBA, G League, and college, and then you got NBA up at the top. But like that, in general, that's what we're going to be looking at. And that is kind of the future of basketball right now, as it seemed. Because there are some other players right now that are in high school that are kind of looking to do the same route. Those include Isaiah Todd, Makur Maker, Karim Mane, and Kai Soda. Those are all 5-star athletes as well. And those guys are other choices that are going to might move up to the G League instead of going the college route. So this could be a huge impact to see what we see in the future of the NBA. Jumping over to the XFL, which is now officially closed. They filed for bankruptcy, and this is the worst year in general that could have happened to wanting to start a separate football league. And I get it. There are lots of jobs lost, but in general, there is a reason they did go bankrupt. They lost all their games. They lost all their playoffs. In the year they should have been growing and the year they were taking the investments, this was unfortunately not the best year, and it wasn't their fault. No one could have seen this virus coming. And so in general, you can't really blame them, because I think it was on the right step. There were a lot of fans. A lot of people were getting into it. But in the end of the day, you really have to think, was this a bad thing, good thing? I mean, bad thing for all the people that lost their jobs. But when you jump into it, did we really need a second football league? I mean, we already had arena football. The XFL was attempted a few years prior. It wasn't as big named, and it didn't get as many views back then. But in general, it was cool to see all those old stars, maybe ones who didn't make it to the NFL, that were old college prospects. And in general, I'm the guy who really enjoyed that time, that like when August came around, it was that time that football was starting up again. I would get at the edge of my seat. I'm like, yes, I get to finally watch my team play again. You get to see the new prospects, the new NFL draft picks that get to jump in and see. You get to see how they are doing in general. So right now, it's not the worst thing in the world that the XFL went bankrupt, but it's, to me, it's not the best. But there you see what I'm saying on this one. But also, at the end of the day, I think it was just like the excitement of getting to know that football is coming back, and I just didn't think this was something that really needed to discuss today. Odell Beckham Jr., that is our third topic for the day. There are rumors that he is going to the Minnesota Vikings. Is this better for the Browns? Is it good to get Odell Beckham Jr. out of Cleveland? I mean, he was causing a lot of stress. He had the second worst season when it came to touchdowns. He only got 4, which is the second lowest in his NFL career. But the thing was, he still got 1,000 yards, which is super important to realize, is that he still was being an impact on the team. When it came to the touchdowns, which are important, he was not as vital in. But going to the Vikings, because we do know by rumors that Odell Beckham Jr. is unhappy. The Browns and the Cleveland management system say that he's not and that the rumors aren't true. But in general, when it comes down to Cleveland, it's really hard to believe anything they really say, because they just aren't as reliable when it comes to sources from the management. But the stories that keep breaking on Odell leaving is not as surprising, and I don't think it could shock as many people. As we saw last year, he was frustrated on the sideline a lot. He wasn't getting the ball thrown to him as much as he wanted. But in general, like, he has a good place to go with the Minnesota Vikings, who I thought underachieved last year, because I personally think they have one of the best rosters in the NFL right now. And I think Odell can really impact them in a good way, especially because Dalvin Cook last year, the Minnesota Vikings running back, was someone who did carry a lot of the weight for them, and they did not perform to the aspect I think they could have. They did make the playoffs, but they did get embarrassed by the 49ers, but so did the Packers. So yeah, that one really hurt. Taking Odell to the Vikings could impact them, but not in the way I think a lot of people could. He could just be more of a distraction too, because of his attitude and the way his maturity is. But a big thing about him as well is that the fact that he can help in those small routes. But I just don't think he's one of those top receivers anymore. He's not the same receiver he used to be back when he was in New York, because he's just not as explosive as he used to be, and he just causes too much drama. It kind of has that, it's more of a smaller, but it kind of still has that Antonio type feel, that maturity level that he has in general. And in reality, he hasn't really helped teams grow in the fact of making playoff appearances. Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't really made the playoffs in general, and he's not really been a huge aspect to lead teams to playoffs. Do I think the Vikings could lead him and he could help? Yes, but he's not the main player on that team, and if he joined the Vikings, he wouldn't be the number one player anymore. Dalvin Cook would be. And they also have a great defense with Xavier Woods over there locking down whatever side of the field he's on. They have a good defense. They have a good running back. They have a good offensive line. They have all the aspects they need to go. I think Odell Beckham Jr. could just be a good addition. I don't think he'd be game-changing. Coming from a Packers fan, though, when it came down to playing him twice a year, that might be a little bit of a struggle, especially because usually our cornerbacks over there do not perform, except for Zaire Alexander, who I'm a really big fan of, but playing one-on-one with Odell is usually not a good matchup, so we could see how that goes in general. Jumping over to our final topic of the day. Today is going to be a little bit of a shorter show. There aren't as many news stories out right now. But we're jumping into one of the things that I think is going to be super fun. Is I get to talk to you guys about some of my top 5 NBA matchups that could happen, or personally I think would be the most dream if you were to go watch at Rutger Park, one of the most famous street ball courts that Kevin Durant has played on and different NBA stars have gone. If you were to walk by and watch these guys both in their prime, I think this would be some of the most interesting matchups you could come across. Is that the first one is going to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus Bill Russell. You have 2 stars that were just incredible and way better than the rest of the players in the league at their time. They match up well, and when it comes to height and the different skill level, they both played around the rim at all times. And this was something that was very important to them, because that was the way they played their game, and that was the way big men dominated back in the times. Big men dominated the league. Point guards, shooting guards, and all those type of players weren't the ones coming in and scoring 50. It was these type of guys. And so watching these two back in their prime when they were young, moving well, I think it'd be one of the better matchups that you could see. At number 4, I have Kevin Durant versus LeBron James. 2 probably the most athletic freaks I've ever seen when it came to playing the game of basketball. Their abilities and their size don't really match up, as in a 6'11" and a 6'8", 240-pound guy should not be able to do what they do. They both have great jump shots. They are both really good on defense, and they both know how to score on every single portion of the court. Some of them say they are probably one of the 2 most unguardable players in the NBA, unless you ask Kawhi, who is probably the best defender I've seen in a long time. But both have dominated the league in multiple years. And in general, playing them one-on-one, they size up well. Even though Kevin Durant is 3 inches taller than LeBron James, LeBron James does have that strength and that ability to probably push him off his mark. And they have played in matchups in games in general, but when you go down to it, you can't really say that Kevin Durant was as much better as LeBron James, because the fact is that the Golden State Warriors were that much better than the Cleveland Cavaliers at the time. At number 3, I think would be one of the more fun matchups would be Russell Westbrook versus Derrick Rose, both in their prime, by the way. This is before Derrick Rose's injury. These were the two most athletic guards the NBA has ever seen. When it came to physically the point guard position, they changed the way the point guard can play. They were the guys that came in and realized that they can be as dominant and as explosive as some of the other shooting guards, small forwards, the LeBron James type explosiveness. And they were the ones who really changed the way the NBA was and the way the NBA kind of looked at different point guards, as changing them from just being the guys who distribute the ball to being the main guy on the court to score the ball. And these two were the first ties to step it up. They're the most athletic point guards I've ever seen, and I think that'd be a really cool matchup as well. The fourth matchup I have for you is Giannis Antetokounmpo versus a Orlando Magic Shaq. Both were about the same size. I'm saying Giannis now versus Magic Shaq. They were both really athletic for the size, and they were really strong. They were really quick. They were really fast, and everything in general about them kind of matched up well. Even Shaq said, a lot of people say, what would it be like if Shaq was in the league today? He says, you're looking at him, his name is Giannis Antetokounmpo. So when you look at these two matchups, they are a lot more similar back in those times for Shaq and right now for Giannis than a lot of people might believe. Shaq is more looked at the time when he was on the Lakers, when he was about 330 pounds. So that was a bigger body, and I don't think that'd be a very interesting matchup, just because Giannis, I think, would be able to pull out from the 3 right now. But back in the day, Shaq could move, and he could run along with some guards and some big centers like that. The last one is, I think, the best one-on-one in the NBA history, if we would be able to witness it both in their prime, though, would be Kobe Bryant versus Michael Jordan. Jordan says that Kobe is the only person that would be able to beat him one-on-one, but the only reason he says this is because he says that Kobe Bryant has stolen all of his moves. Kobe Bryant is basically Michael Jordan 2.0. They had the same moves. You could literally watch videos. I actually have one if you go to my YouTube channel to check out the 7-on-7 Legends matchup, where I do mix in a little bit of what Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant did at one portion in the video. They also both had the same mentality, that never lose fight, and that always wanting to grasp and always try to beat the guy across from them. And personally, I think those two are probably the best when it came to the one-on-one matchups, and probably the two best one-on-one players to ever play the game of basketball. They have plenty of stories with each of them jumping in. Kobe back in high school, Michael Jordan with OJ Mayo, and no matter what, they would never let another person get the best of them. So I think watching Kobe versus Michael Jordan would be a super interesting matchup. Well, guys, that is all for you I have today. So I want to remind you all to follow my social media. Also, I want to remind you to check out my next week's show on Wednesday. I will be having guest speaker Sean Clark with me, another sports reporter that I've been on air a few times with. He's super interesting. I will tell you guys more about that on the next episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button, because I do have a video coming out tomorrow. It is going to be my top 5 draft picks that I have for this year's NFL draft. And that is going to be because the NFL draft is coming this week. And that is going to kind of give you guys a little bit of an insight of some of the top guys that you'll be seeing going through the draft this year. So I just want to remind you guys all to check out that video. It's going to be posted tomorrow at 12 p.m. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you're staying safe out there. And well, until next time.